Welcome back to the deep dive. We are jumping right back into the Gita's roadmap for joyful living.
And this part of the path is fascinating because it's so practical.
It really is. It feels less like doctrine and more like a diagnostic flowchart for your personality. So just to orient everyone, what's the framework we're working with?
Okay, so Lord Krishna lays out 5 stages of bhakti or devotion, but here's the interesting part. He presents them in reverse order, from 5 down to 1.
So you start at the top.
You start at the top with stage 5. The idea is you explore that highest stage first, and if you find you're not qualified, you just take one step down to the next one.
A process of elimination. And we've already covered the top tiers,
Yeah.
right? Stages 5, 4, and 3, knowledge, devotion, and meditation.
Correct. The headspace tiers, as you called them, they all require a pretty quiet, settled mind.
Which, let's be honest, is a huge barrier for a lot of us. For some people, sitting in silence isn't peaceful. It's pure torture.
Exactly. And that brings us perfectly to today's focus. Stage 2, this is the path through action, and it's based on verse 10 of chapter 12.
So let's talk about the profile. Who is this stage designed for? Because it sounds like the complete opposite of the person we discussed for stage 3, the meditator.
It is the polar opposite. This is for the energetic doer. This is a person with, a very high kinetic energy. Their nature just compels them to be active.
So if you put this person in a meditation hall,
They're not going to find enlightenment. They're going to find a way to reorganize the bookshelves or fix the plumbing. They just have to do something.
okay, I think we all know someone like that. But I want to be clear here. Is this just the person who's easily distracted, who wants to be out at parties or scrolling on their phone?
No, and that's a massive, massive distinction. That constant craving for material entertainment, that's actually stage 1, which we'll cover next time.
Oh, okay.
The person in stage 2 has already realized that those things don't bring lasting happiness. They genuinely want a peaceful spiritual life.
So they're spiritually hungry.
Deeply.
Yeah.
But they just have this physiological drive that keeps them in motion. They're kind of stuck, Too restless for the meditation, Christian, but way too serious for the nightclub.
That's such a fascinating middle ground. So if you can't sit still to pray, what's the prescription? How do you use all that energy for a spiritual goal?
The prescription is action without attachment. And the key is that the shift happens not in what you do, but in why you're doing it.
Okay.
Since you have this inner compulsion to work, the text says, fine, work, but dedicate every single action you perform to God.
Hold on, though. This is where I always get a little skeptical. It sounds very noble, but if you take away the rewards, the paycheck, the promotion, the recognition, doesn't the quality of the work usually plummet? Why hustle if there's nothing in it for you?
See, that's the paradox. The text argues the exact opposite happens. Think about it. If your work is for a boss or for a bonus, you might cut a corner here or there when no one's looking.
Sure, of course.
But if you truly reframe it and every action is a direct offering to the divine, well, the standard goes way up.
Because your audience has changed.
Precisely. You aren't working for the result anymore. You're working for the perfection of the offering itself. All that selfish interest in the outcome, all that anxiety, it falls away.
I can see how that makes the work better.
Yeah.
But what about the person? I mean, if I'm running around all day serving others with this impossibly high standard, isn't that just a recipe for burnout?
Physically, maybe you'll be tired, but psychologically, it's the cure. This process leads to what the text calls balance of mind.
How so?
Well, when you work for external results, your mind is always swinging between the pairs of opposites, right? You feel elated when you succeed, and you feel crushed when you fail.
That emotional roller coaster.
Yes, and that is what's truly exhausting. By doing the work but refusing to take the hit of praise or profit, you basically starve that restless part of the mind. You are physically active, but you're training your mind to be still.
That is wild. So you're saying by being busy without attachment, you eventually cure the need to be busy in the first place.
That is the aha moment. That's it. The mental stability you gain eventually calms that high kinetic energy. Stage 2, done correctly, graduates you to stage 3. You finally become capable of mental action, of Upasana.
So you don't fight your nature. You use your addiction to work to cure the addiction to work.
You use the energy to transcend the energy. It's the path for the restless seeker.
All right, I think that is a perfect place to pause for today. We have one final piece of this puzzle left to explore.
Stage 1, the path through enjoyment.
Which sounds like the most surprising one of all.
It really is.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
But until then, here's a thought to leave you with, kind of a test for stage 2. If you took away the promise of money, recognition, or even a simple thank you from your daily work, would you still do it with the exact same quality? Thanks for listening.